We are reopening DSA. We're cleared for takeoff. Sorry, I promise that's the last airport pun from me. I promise. Today, alongside colleagues from Barnsley, Sheffield, Rotherham, and of course, Doncaster, I have proudly taken the decision to fund the reopening of Doncaster Sheffield Airport and the development of a world-leading sustainable aviation and advanced manufacturing hub here at Gateway East. I promised to do everything I could to reopen DSA when it was closed in November of 2022. And when I first stood for election 3 years ago, I promised to invest to create an advanced manufacturing innovation corridor that stretches from Sheffield to Doncaster Sheffield Airport. Today, I'm proud to say I've kept those promises. I want to explain the decision I've taken today in more detail. But firstly, I would like to say thank you to some people. Most importantly, thank you to the people and communities of Doncaster and South Yorkshire. I know the process to get to today has had its ups and downs and been frustrating for some, but the decision we have taken today is a result of your patience, your commitment, and your unwavering support for this project and for DSA. The journey to this point over the last 3 years has understandably attracted a huge amount of attention. I have not always been able to be as unambiguously positive, as clear, or as upfront as I would have liked to have been, sometimes because it has helped to strengthen our negotiating position, sometimes for legal or commercial reasons, and sometimes because I didn't know if we would be able to get to today. But across Doncaster and South Yorkshire, through all those ups and downs, from business leaders like Dan Fell to individual local people, you never lost faith or interest. You have pushed this project forward. I know some people have questioned my commitment to reopening DSA. I hope the decision I have taken today repays the faith and commitment you have shown and makes clear that we have listened and we have acted in response to your hopes, your ambitions for yourselves, your families, for Doncaster and for South Yorkshire, and your desire for us to save DSA, to create the people's airport. Your voices have been in every single room we have ever been in, taking this project forward to this point. In that same vein, I'd also like to thank some key campaigners, chief amongst them Mark Chadwick. Mark was the man who sprang into action when DSA was under threat, powering the original airport petition past 100,000 signatures. He's become a social media manager, an influencer, a podcast host, a mediator, a community leader, and an aviation geek. Mark, thank you for all your hard work and your never-ending enthusiasm. I think a small round of applause for Mark. Thank you to our brilliant local MP for the airport, Lee Pitcher, for all the work he has done in public and behind the scenes in Parliament, and the same goes for Sally Jameson, Ed Miliband, John Healy for their constant support, as well as Joe, who's here today. And thank you even to the former MP for Don Valley, Nick Fletcher. Even when we disagreed on the means, we agreed on the ends. I knew that even when his government didn't back him, he was always fighting for DSA in his own unique way. On that note, I'd also like to offer a special thank you to this government and to Rachel Reeves in particular for her personal interest in DSA, because she believes in us and our potential to grow the economy in South Yorkshire through this project here. And to Heidi Alexander, her predecessor Louise Haigh, the former Aviation Minister Mike Kane, and of course Keir Starmer, all of whom have been steadfast and vocal in their support as we have built the case to commit this funding to DSA. And thank you also to the working group of civil servants that have stood up at that standing group with us today. I'd like to thank the leaders of South Yorkshire's local councils, my fellow members of the MCA board, and particularly, of course, my friend Ros Jones. This was a unanimous decision in no small part because of the passion of her argument over the last 3 years. I think it's fair to say I've never known anyone so focused or so committed to a single project Whether we've been talking about potholes or post-19 skills, Ros has never failed to remind me and the other members of the board of the central importance of DSA and her vision for the future of Doncaster. And finally, I'd like to thank my team at the MCA, who have put in endless amounts of work to build the case for this project. To Gareth, to Claire, to Jade, to Laurie, Rebecca, Ed, Tom, Catherine, and our former Chief Exec, Martin. It may be me giving this speech for reasons you will know all too well. This is your success. Thank you. Because getting to today has never been guaranteed, certainly not in this time frame. Last weekend, I looked up what's happened to some of the other airports in the UK that have been closed in the last few years. Plymouth closed in 2011 and remains closed. Manston, closed in 2014, remains closed. And of course, Sheffield Airport, closed in 2002, never reopened. There was never anything inevitable about us getting to this point today. Here, just 23 months after DSA was closed, we have taken the decision to commit £159.9 million to reopen it next year, with freight operations in 27 and commercial flights and a fully operational airport by 2028. My ambition throughout this process has always been to not just reopen DSA, but to make it a thriving regional airport alongside a world-leading sustainable aviation and advanced manufacturing hub here at Gateway East, a plan for the long term. But I would like to better define what success looks like. Because when it comes to this project, success does not, cannot, simply be reduced to a line on a profit and loss spreadsheet. Success cannot be measured by passenger numbers alone. Let me be clear, we have today committed to the long-term funding of DSA because of its strategic value to South Yorkshire, because of this project's unique ability to drive jobs and growth, to return money back into the economy, and to attract investment into the wider Gateway East site and across South Yorkshire. My job is not that of a private investor. I have a different role, to take a longer term and wider view. But my measure of success is still simple. Does this funding create jobs and growth and opportunity for people in Doncaster and across South Yorkshire in a way we want and in a way we can afford? On the basis of what we know now, the answer is simply yes. And from my perspective and position, that is the question that matters above all else. I'm not here to maximise the direct financial returns to the MCA or simply to look at a profit and loss column. While my job is, of course, to be a proper steward of taxpayers' money, I'm also here to invest the public funds that we have available to create a better future for our communities, to build a bigger and better economy with jobs and growth in the industries of the future for the next generation, to invest in opportunities that restore the pride and the purpose and the prosperity of South Yorkshire. In the same way we invest every year in the Supertram network, the buses, the skill system, or to improve the health of our communities, here we are committing to a long-term investment in a project which promises to grow the economy of our region at scale and at pace. I do not shy away from the complexity or scale of this challenge. This will be an investment for the long term. We will be investing in the airport until 2050, building South Yorkshire Airport City into a central, vital hub for jobs, growth and opportunity in our region and across the north. That is not without risk, I know. No project of this scale ever is. But that is why we have done the work we have over the last number of months, so we could understand every element of this project, the challenges and the opportunities, and take the decision we have today in full possession of those facts. We're committing to an investment of nearly £160 million today on that basis, because the scale of the opportunity here is unique in South Yorkshire. I know some people have said we should use this money to invest somewhere else, in something else. But even if we wanted to, there are simply no other projects of this size or scale available to us at this moment. No other comparable investment that offers us the same strategic opportunity or potential for jobs and growth. I know some people have said we should turn this site into housing or a logistics park. But the market has not responded to similar opportunities elsewhere in South Yorkshire, and there's no reason to believe this site would unlock investment in a way those sites have failed to do. I know some people have said we should not invest in an airport or in aviation because of its impact on the climate. Of course, I've got sympathy with those concerns, but I also know there is no future for our society or our economy that does not include flying for holidays, to see friends and family, or for business. There is no doubt that aviation is part of the problem we face as a society, but here we have the opportunity to be part of the solution to that problem. That's why we have looked to the best-in-class airports as a baseline for our sustainability plans, why public transport will play a huge role in the future connectivity of DSA, and why I am determined to build on South Yorkshire's leading role in sustainable aviation by building an advanced manufacturing hub focused on extending and elevating that expertise here at South Yorkshire Airport City. Some people have said we should be using all our funds to invest in public transport. And I would simply remind people that we are already committing to spending around £2 billion before 2032 in public transport in South Yorkshire, as we're taking back control of our buses and the Supertram network. Some people have said we're only supporting this project because there are so many people who back it across South Yorkshire, as though politicians shouldn't try and find ways to do what their communities want them to do. Because devolution has given me not just the responsibility, but the opportunity to invest in a brighter future for South Yorkshire, not just for, but with our communities. To take our future in our own hands, to look people in the eye and listen to those most impacted by decisions before I take them. And I know some people have said we won't be able to make DSA a success when the private sector wasn't able to. I would simply say that the private sector is not infallible. You only have to look at the litany of business failures, from Blockbusters to Debenhams, and potentially even a football club owner from Thailand just a little down the road, to know that private owners do not always make better long-term decisions about their own assets. Finally, I know some people have said we have taken too long to get to this point today, finding fault at every turn, and they will no doubt continue to criticise our plans and our approach. Some of that will be in good faith, or some of it will be motivated by the worst of politics. Politicians and activists determined to talk down Doncaster and South Yorkshire for their own benefit, to suit their own narrative. That approach has only ever done a disservice to this project and its chances of success. Politicians who should have known better, carelessly arguing for us to throw huge amounts of public money around without the due diligence that taxpayers rightly deserve and expect, putting at risk money paid by hard-working families because they are not prepared to engage in the hard work of understanding what this project needs to succeed. Now we've committed this funding, I've no doubt that criticism will change from he won't spend the money to he shouldn't have spent the money, or he shouldn't have spent the money in that way. And I hope our media are ready to hold them to account in exactly the same way I am always prepared to be held to account, scrutinising their words just as they scrutinise mine. Because thanks to the vast amount of work we've done before today, we know what we're getting into. We know both the challenges and the opportunities in front of us. And as a result, I know that for this project to truly succeed, we will need a patient and consistent approach to investment, to the development of the wider site, and not just to return aviation operations, but grow the footprint of DSA from what it was before to where we all want it to be. I've always said that we would take the time we needed to get this decision and this deal right. But if and when we did agree the funding for this project to reopen DSA and develop the wider South Yorkshire Airport City project, as we have done today, I would commit wholeheartedly to making this the success it deserves to be. That is the only way to do this, to commit in full for the long term. A whole team effort to not only restoring DSA to where it was in 2022, but but to exploiting its fullest potential as a driver for jobs and growth and opportunity. That can never be a blank cheque, of course. We will take a prudent, patient approach, but we will not be shy about our commitment to investing for the long term. And this is a long-term investment in a complex project, and it will only succeed with the support of everyone in this room and everyone across South Yorkshire. It's going to be our airport. Support it, promote it, use it, help it become what you want it to be. I have no doubt you will. Because as I said when I spoke in Doncaster a couple of weeks ago, I've learned that the widespread support for this project was always about more than simply aviation or the promise of foreign travel. I've no doubt this project will take time, but over time it will be a success in terms of jobs and growth and opportunity. But it's about more than any of those things alone, more than the sum of its parts. The huge groundswell of support we've seen for this decision across Doncaster and South Yorkshire is about pride, and dare I say it, it's about hope. Let's be honest, South Yorkshire hasn't had the easiest of breaks over the last few years. You could say there's been some turbulence. But maybe this decision allows some people to actually, finally, see and feel the excitement and hope in our future. Because there are brilliant things and brilliant people out there. Our best days are not behind us. South Yorkshire's right at the heart of the country. We powered the first industrial revolution with steel and with coal. Today it was the brain power of the University of Sheffield that imagined into being the world's first net zero transatlantic flight. We're creating materials that will make the planes of tomorrow lighter, quieter and quicker to build. We're a key supplier of steel for aircraft and defence. We make quantum computers that will be at the forefront of the next digital revolution, and small modular nuclear technology that will underpin and power that revolution. When I was elected, I promised to restore the pride, the purpose and the prosperity of South Yorkshire. Today, we take another huge step towards that better, brighter future, a future we are building together. Thank you very much.